Ooh, welcome everyone to another episode of Slasher Scotty. I am your host, Scotty McCoy, and boy, do I have a surprise for all of you. I have on Zoom with me right now a good friend of mine. He played the helicopter zombie in George Romero's Dawn of the Dead. His name is Jim Krut. How you doing, Jim?
I'm the surprise? Whoa, geez. Well, your expectations are low, but that's great. Thank you very much for having me, Scotty.
Absolutely. I'm so glad to have you. I forgot to put my background on. You just reminded me with your background. There we go.
Ah, yeah, there we are.
There we are, much better. Yes, and if you, I just want to let everybody know, I might have a surprise be jumping up. He's right here sleeping right now, my little 6-month-old kitty, Macro. But he likes computers and he likes wires and he likes, everything else. So yeah, and I'll be drinking this just so everybody knows. I'm going to be drinking my Chucky Fanta, throughout it. I'm not
Oh,
recommending.
yeah,
Yep,
yeah.
they're actually pretty good. They're pretty good, but just to let everybody know. But thank you, Jim, again for joining me. Um, I had you on before, and it was a lot of fun. And I'm like, we have to have you back on. We have a lot to talk about. And I guess for those that didn't see the last interview I had with you, or just a reminder, I mean, everybody knows who you are, but let everybody know, how'd you get your start in acting?
I got started in acting when I was in grade school. I was Abraham Lincoln in a school play because I could remember the Gettysburg Address and I was the tallest kid in the class. Bing. So sometimes casting is a big factor if you look the part. Then I was in the high school play. I went on to do some community theater, and in college in Pittsburgh, we had our own theater company in
Mm-hmm.
the college, aside from the Pittsburgh Playhouse. This was in Pittsburgh, and some of the other folks I worked with in that play group were Tom Savini, you may know, Bill
Mm-hmm.
Royston, who later went on to found the Pittsburgh Laboratory Theater, where I
Nice.
worked for a couple of years. Um, there were so many great folks there. That connection
Mm-hmm.
led to a lot of other things. So
Mm-hmm.
it was good. It was good.
That's awesome. So your audition for the helicopter zombie, I'm assuming you had one. What was that like?
Nah,
Oh, macro.
never assume, Scotty. Never assume. Now, as I said, I'd met Tom in college. After
Hmm.
college, he'd gone off to the Army for a couple of
Hmm.
years. He was a combat photographer in Vietnam. I also found myself in Vietnam as I
Nice.
trained as a combat medic. And so
Hmm.
they stuck me with a 155 self-propelled howitzer battery and six big
Hmm.
guns. What's that? Yes, it's yeah, a lot of side effects. So after a couple of years, I came back to Pittsburgh and Tom came back to Pittsburgh. Fortunately, we made it. And I just ran into Tom and
Macro.
he said,
Here he goes.
okay, there you go. And Tom said, Jim, hey, I've got this great role for you in a new George Romero movie.
Nice.
And I said, well, let me think. Let me think. George Romero, Night of the Living Dead, right? 10 years earlier, practically,
Hmm.
which created a sensation, not only being in black and white, because of all the gore that was
Hmm.
shown on screen, the controversy with the characters, the whole idea of zombies.
Yeah.
It was groundbreaking in so many ways, not just people breaking ground coming out of the grave.
Hmm.
And so I said, sure. And I went over to Tom's workshop. We did the head castings and
Hmm.
makeup, prosthetics, and such. Got that ready over a period of time, a couple of visits. Next thing I knew, I was on set at the Little
Wow.
Monroeville Airport. Excuse me, the Harold Brown Memorial Field, which is
Nice.
no longer there anyway, so it doesn't matter what you call it. Uh, it was a great experience. My first time being in a film. I'd been working in theater on stage
Hmm.
for about 7 years.
Right.
Aside from all the other theater things I'd had in
Hmm.
college, speaking, voice work, other things of that nature.
Yeah.
So it was a different take, and I wasn't quite sure what we were going to do with it. I didn't really have
Nice.
a full script. I had my role as character. Tom didn't give me a whole lot of clues. I mean, when on the second day, I'm sitting there waiting, and Tom says, "Hey, it's time. Here we go." So
Hmm.
they were walking across the field toward this little airplane that George Romero wanted me to come under the wing of
Hmm.
for an opening establishing kind of shot. We're walking along, and I said, "Hey, Tom, do these zombies talk? And I hadn't seen anything that had been shot,
Mhm.
like at the mall, how these characters interacted, nothing. So he said, no, they don't talk. I said, well, do they make any kind of noises or groans or like what sort of things they do? He said, you do whatever you want to do. I said, really? And he said, they've been dead and then they come back to life. And I said, well, I figured that's kind of what a zombie would be.
Hmm.
And, we're going to do this, then we're going to be over there. Okie dokie.
Nice.
Well, that whole setup, of course, was pretty much under Tom's direction because he had set up the gag that having the helicopter blade take the top of my head off. And George, as I always like to say, brought on good people who knew what the heck they were doing and let them alone to do it because
Hmm.
it's too complicated if you're trying to manage the big picture to try to
Hmm.
manage each and every little detail.
Yeah.
And Tom had so many death scenes and special effects, it only made sense for him as the master of those, the creator of them, to go ahead and see them through and give the direction. So on most all of those scenes, it was Tom doing the directing.
Okay.
Although in the first part of my scenes were came under the wing and so forth, George was there with the camera guy, and um, we rolled that a couple times. And once I got over to the boxes in front of the helicopter, that I climb up on. For those who are not familiar with it, I climb up on the boxes as a zombie. And being tall, being under a whirling helicopter blade, the inevitable happens. And I sort of, well, I'd like to say at the airport, that's where my ship came in.
Hmm.
I sort of went down in history.
Wow.
So from
So,
there, I ended up, took it, actually left Pittsburgh not long after that. So it was
okay.
maybe 20 years till I did another film. But I
Nice.
did some theater, other theater in the meantime.
Awesome.
And did I tell you about that for the first film I did after that?
No, you didn't.
Um, I saw an audition. It was in the Harrisburg, Pennsylvania area, and
Okay.
I thought, okay, what the heck is the Guatemalan handshake? It had an intriguing name to it, and I thought, what's this about? Well, I'd
Hmm.
give it a shot. I found out
Right.
I could have some time if I needed to do some shoots, and figured it wouldn't take too long. So I went up. I got there late after work and they were still finishing up the auditions, as it
Hmm.
were. I'm trying to fill out the paperwork and they said, well, you can fill out the rest of it later. And they called me in and I sat down with the director and I guess his investor or cameraman, I forget which. And we started talking and he said, oh, I think he'd be great as, Kenneth, for the power plant, the operator. And I said, well, okay, well, give me a call. You have my information, and so I left the paperwork there. They hadn't even looked at it, and then I got a call about 2 hours later after I got home. He said, "Is this Jim?" I said, "Yeah." He said, why the hell didn't you tell us you were the helicopter zombie from Dawn of the Dead?" I said, "Well, I didn't think it was pertinent to what we were doing." And that's an interesting thing to Scotty because I've been asked to do several films that I've turned down
Hmm.
or we've reworked a bit because people wanted to pick up on that same type of effect. Oh, got this great thing. We're going to cut the top of your head off. And I said, no, it was done once. It was done beautifully. It was done right. And in a sense, that's my brand.
Hmm.
So I'm going to have to protect my brand and say, no, thank you.
Right.
Now, if you can find another way to do things, I want to keep the integrity of that.
Yeah.
You have to stand for something that, even though I'm sitting down now, that's what I'm standing for.
Absolutely. And I mean, yeah, like the makeup, okay? Like how tedious is that to be in like the makeup chair and to get the makeup done for that? Like what was that process like?
To do the head casting, which we had to do, it was done in a couple of parts. First of all, there's a material called alginate. It's like a plastic
Mhm.
liquidy kind of thing that firms up.
Right.
Well, that gets put all over the front of my face. Tom did like a cardboard cutout to separate the back of my
Mhm.
head from the front, so he could do one half at a time, pour all this stuff down. And you're saying, well, how are you breathing? That was my first question anyway. Well, we're going to breathe through a straw. Okay. Hopefully a big straw. And then all this stuff flows around. Your eyes are closed, and you
Wow.
don't move because you want it to pick up all of the impressions of your skin, the detail, the form, the shape, everything. And when that firms up enough, then plaster is poured on top of that
Wow.
because the plaster will hold and keep that alginate firm and in the perfect position. Of
Hmm.
course, it also takes a while for the plaster to harden. So I'd say maybe somewhere around half an hour or so, I'm sitting there, lying there, breathing through a straw while all this stuff is happening. And if you know the term claustrophobic, it means like a fear of enclosed spaces.
Hmm.
Like, and when you have all of this stuff covering your eyes and your mouth, and you're trying your best not to move, and it's normally going to be about 5 more minutes, and then 10 minutes goes by, maybe 5 more minutes,
Oh my gosh.
and eventually, this stuff gets removed, and you can, well, that's good. Now we're going to do the back, and we did the back, and then, wow, you take for granted just simple act of breathing. But
Hmm.
when you have to focus on just breathing through a straw, it sounds simple, but just
Yeah.
try it sometime. Pinch your nose, put a clothespin on your nose, breathe through a straw for half an hour. Close your eyes, or put a bandana or something across your eyes if
Wow.
you want to just get a sense of what that's like. And then 2 days later, Tom gave me a call and he said, "Well, Jim," he says, "got some bad news. The plaster cracked. We have to do it again."
Oh man.
I said, "Well, okay." I was still working in theater. I had rehearsal schedules, but we got that worked out, and we did the casting all over again. And I'm glad I went back for it, and we
Yeah.
we got through it. And from the head cast that Tom did, he was able to create a bust. From
Hmm.
that, he was able to build up prosthetics on top of that bust. It would
Yeah.
still look like they were conforming to my head.
Nice.
Build the hair pieces on top and the beard so it would kind of blend in more.
Hmm.
And Tom just did a wonderful job with it.
Great.
And I admire his work. He had a lot of vision in terms of creating new effects
Hmm.
and finding ways to create those effects. It's one thing to imagine how something could happen. It's
Hmm.
another to find out the practicality,
Yeah.
what you have to do, the timing, the materials, the ability of somebody to endure makeup, for example, on their face.
Yeah.
But so from all of that, certain pieces were created in Tom's workshop, appliances that were then at the scene at the little airport were then applied. So it wasn't bad.
Yeah.
It wasn't like we had to go through all of that each and every time. Once it was set up,
Hmm.
we used those pieces, took it off the next day, or took it off, and then the next day we got everything ready to go just in case, and bam, then we were rolling. Had the blood
Yeah.
tubes running from the top parts down the back of my shirt, down to my trousers.
Wow.
And then those were connected after I walked across the field. And when I got up onto the boxes, then they were connected to the hand pumps that had the
Hmm.
artificial blood in them. So those were uh, effects that did not really require electricity,
Yeah.
air compressors, pneumatic devices, very simple technology. And sometimes simple eliminates a lot of problems. And so Tom had it down. We did everything in one take. George was thrilled. And I just wanted to keep on playing, but my role was done. So,
Yeah.
and there you have it.
Yeah, that's partly why Robert Englund doesn't even want to return as Freddy Krueger, just the makeup alone. Like it's crazy.
Well, some
Like,
people were in a makeup chair for 4 or 5 hours. And I,
yeah,
I tell people that when we were doing things 20, 30, 40, 50 years ago, a lot of the materials that are around now were not around. Now
wow,
you think of taking somebody like Tom Cruise, and every minute that ticks off, maybe that's $1,000. So
yeah,
you have to use your time wisely.
Hmm.
And if you're putting him in a makeup chair for a scar, for something like that, you're going to have worked that out. Not only that it's going to look good and look finished when it's on, but also that it doesn't damage or discolor his skin,
Yeah.
leave a mark, a blister, or something like that, because the next scene, might have been shot before that thing happened.
Yep.
Movies are very rarely shot in sequence from the beginning to the
Absolutely.
end. That's why if you watch the credits, which I always recommend people watch credits when they go to the
Yeah.
movies, you'll see Hungary, Morocco, Canada, uh, New Zealand. Well, each of those was a filming location, and maybe all of the actors were there. So they shot one thing one day, and the
Yep.
next day they were in a different country
Yep.
shooting something that happened before.
Yep.
Anyway, movies are a fascinating business. I just love them.
They really are. When we were filming 72, like the first weekend, we were filming all the stuff that weren't the death scenes. And then we filmed the next weekend, we filmed all of the death scenes. And then the weekend after that, we were filming more stuff that was before the death scenes.
Yeah,
Like it isn't filmed really it is filmed out of sequence. It isn't
yes,
always filmed right, in the order that it's written in the script. It's based on who's able to make those dates. And if everybody is able to make the death scene dates, well, let's do the death scenes that day because that is a really important part of the schedule. And if everybody's free that day, for sure, then let's do it that day.
yeah.
You know?
And when people ask me, "What did you think of a particular movie?" I'm the worst person you want to ask that of because when I'm watching a movie, literally, I'm kind of deconstructing it.
Right.
Okay, why is that music there now? I
Yep.
hear that other sound effect going on at the same time. The lighting is off on that scene.
Yeah.
I wish these characters could learn to speak better,
Yep.
enunciate rather than, oh, really cool, hey, the hell's happening? So I'm glad that, some movie theaters are now introducing subtitles.
Good.
So you can have actors who can't really speak that well, but at least you'll be able to read what they were supposed to be saying according to the script. But you think about it, all of the elements that go into making a film, you'd wonder why anybody would even want to do it. And we have
Yeah.
so many films that are made. Obviously, there are a lot of people who want to either make films or be in them, work
Yep.
on them. It's good business. It's
Yeah.
really good for a community. It's good for a city. It's good for all the locations where films are made.
Yep. I was like when I before I did my first movie, I'm like, you know what I want to do? I want to make a movie. I'm gonna make a movie. And I got a bunch of my friends together and we were gonna make this movie into a web series and eventually got shut down because I was asking so many demands, I want this whole main road closed by the borough.
Mm.
Rejection. Okay, let's revamp and then have a business plan. So we decided to make the web series into an actual movie, and we did the whole. It's better to ask for forgiveness than for permission.
Yeah,
Um, you
yeah.
know, yeah. So I was like, oh, this is gonna be so fun though. We have all the cast now. We did some auditions to get some new, some actual local theater people involved, and it's gonna be so much fun. We have a script, and we have the special effects, and we have the cast, we have the crew. This is gonna be so great. And then we get into scheduling. Kill me now. One
Huh.
person's available this day, but the same person that needs to be in every scene with that person is not available till the end of next month.
Yes, that is the chore. That is the challenge of trying to make a film. And you say, well, why are these people getting big bucks?
Yep.
Because they show up when
Yep.
you need them to show up. They
Yep.
committed to it. It's not like, well, quick example. Somebody wanted me to do a short film, and they had this warehouse for a weekend, and they said,
Hmm.
okay, we're going to meet you. Everybody's going to show up at like 7:30 in the morning.
All right.
This is the door. This is the entrance. And I think what 6 or 7 of us showed up, and one guy said, "Man, it's kind of chilly. I'm going over to the Sheets and get myself a coffee."
Hmm.
He did.
Right.
The rest of us went in, locked the door, and the script was rewritten for the 6 people who were there. Hard lesson.
Yeah.
If you don't have the commitment to do it, to be there, like what I learned in theater was when you have call, when it's your time,
Hmm.
you're called, you've already had dinner.
Yeah.
You've gone to the bathroom. You've done all these makeup checks. You've done
Hmm.
this and that. You've made your phone. Whatever you needed to do, that better be done because when that moment hits that the clock
Hmm.
strikes the time you're to be on, that's your time.
Yeah.
And you don't mess with anybody else's time
Yeah.
by goofing off or showing up late and the other things.
Yeah.
So the discipline of being an actor is also being a courtesy to your fellow actors, the director, all the folks on set.
Yeah.
I mean, if you have 10 people sitting around waiting for the somebody was supposed to bring something and they forgot it, no. That's why I have turned down some roles
Hmm.
just because of the level of dedication or passion for doing the project. A
Yeah.
lot of people say, man, I want to be in the movies. Well, okay. What are you willing to do to be in the movies?
Right.
How much are you willing to study a script and get the character down? Not just the lines. Anybody can learn lines. What are you going to turn
Hmm.
it? How are you going to turn that character into something that nobody's ever seen before?
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I'm
Exactly.
talking too much. Go ahead, Scotty.
No, you're fine. You're fine. I mean, you're completely correct. Like, I mean, how, like you said, like our first movie, and then we had so nobody followed the script, and then the director didn't know what they were doing. They were asking me, what are we filming today? But you're the director. You should be knowing what we're filming today. I have it on the schedule. I sent it to you. You didn't look at it. So she asked me this right before we're filming, right on set. And then we have and then none of the cat everybody on the cast came pretty much not knowing their lines. So we're at this point where like everybody's ad libbing and throwing lines in and they're catching me up like that. Why are you asking me that question for the script? Like that's not in the that's not how am I supposed to answer that? I didn't write that.
Wow.
It was so disorganized. Then when we got to
Yeah. No,
our
never again.
second
That's what you're saying. Never do
exactly.
that again.
Exactly.
Either
So our
never work
second
with those
movie
same people
72.
or, you know,
Yep, 72. We put it down when we got a whole different bunch of actors and all that. And we're like, you're gonna learn your lines. You know, we're giving you enough time to know your lines, but you're also gonna know your character. If you have any questions, come to us and we'll let you know what we expect. If we need to tweak it, we could tweak it, on set, during rehearsal, with the delivery or whatever. But you have to know what your character is, who they are, and how they represent smoothly. That film schedule was so smooth. We had such a good cast and crew. We had Chris Ridings. I'm sure you know Chris Ridings. He was part of the cast. He was so good. We had a lot of local theater people from Schuylkill County, which is where we filmed, and a lot of local theater that wanted to be in a movie. And everything we did, I didn't bring in friends that I knew. We had people audition for the roles.
yes, yes. That's a big difference.
That made a total world of difference. Total world of difference because you had people that knew how to act, you had people who knew how to study a script, and you had people that knew about character development and how to bring a character to life. And if they didn't, they knew how to, request that information and make it their own. So you had that sense of professionalism, which really made the whole world a difference.
And that is fun.
Yes.
When that's working
Yep.
and you're in that game, then
Yes.
then the passion kicks in and you're saying, I like this. I
Yep.
like this. Bear with me
Absolutely.
just a second. I wanted to show you
Yep.
something.
You're fine.
Just wanted to show you this.
Yeah.
Deadly, can do this here. Deadlands 2.
Okay.
I'm sorry, it's still in the wrapper.
There you
Deadlands
go.
2. It's a film I worked on some years ago. Gary U. Garrick was the director.
Okay.
And I have this at a lot of the conventions that I go to because I got some copies. I like to support, the films I've
Hmm.
been in and the directors
Right.
I've worked with. And I tell people, I said, it's a horror movie
Right.
and it's got some zombies in it. It's kind of fun, and I have a nice role in it, and I enjoyed that.
Hmm.
I said, but the other thing I liked was the special features because the director talks about things that you don't normally hear a director talk about.
Hmm.
How he could get the use of um, huh, city firefighters,
Right.
police cars,
Yeah.
how he got 100 zombies together.
Hmm.
He said, these are things that took me a while to figure out and to learn.
Hmm.
And a lot of people would just say, that's my secret. But I think it's important that we all share
Hmm.
these capabilities and insights on how to get community participation and buy-in. Well, maybe an ice cream truck will roll up and give everybody a treat,
Yep.
whatever it takes. How do you handle this? How do you deal with that? Uh, I tell people, that's to me at least half of the value, or not more, of that movie. The
Hmm.
director sharing all of his lessons from the types of armaments, how
Hmm.
you use weapons and so forth. And I just thought, I like that.
Hmm.
That's what you give, you have. What you
Yep.
keep, you lose. I've always
Yep.
gone by that kind of expression. And to see somebody who's willing to share. The other byline I have is cooperation and not
Hmm.
competition is the life of business and the
Yep.
life of the game. So anyway, those are just a couple little
Yeah.
lessons that I've seen along the way and appreciated, and I just wanted
Yeah.
to share that with you too.
Absolutely. I have a story that you'll it might find a little humorous. So when we
Okay.
were filming 72, it might have been the first day of filming actually. And we just needed somebody, anybody, to walk down the street like act coughing in the back of the first scene, like they're sick. And our special effects lady, who is one of the main characters in the movie, said, "I'll do it. Just put a hoodie on, put a hoodie over her head, and she'll do that." And like, okay, cool. She would never show her face, just seeing a random body walking down. You had no clue who it was. So that was cool. And then and then the next scene is they finish packing up their car and everything. They gonna go driving down, and that same lady's gonna be down head first. So, when you do that scene is probably about maybe total of 10 seconds, in the movie, but that 10 seconds is probably about an hour and a half of filming. So she was probably laying there, for an
Uh,
hour and a half.
yeah.
Well, we're in the middle of, St. Clair, Pennsylvania, which is a little town, and cars are going by and people are checking on her, and she was staying in character. She wasn't looking at them for nothing. So eventually somebody called the cops. And a cop car rolled up. And guess who it was? My cousin, because he's
Oh,
the chief.
geez.
He's the chief. What's going on here? I heard there's a lady going down. Is it? Oh, he's like, is this Scotty's movie? I'm like, hey, Chad. Hey, do you mind doing us a favor now that you're here? He's like, oh God, what are you gonna ask me to do? Can you do your siren so we can record that audio?
Yeah. Yeah.
Of course I will. So that was a very interesting situation that turned into a blessing for the movie. The only thing we regret it is we should have asked him, "Do you mind driving down and letting us film you driving the cop car with the lights on?" And we forgot to ask that. We got the sirens, but we didn't get the cop car going down. We could have automatic free use of a
Yeah.
police
Yeah.
vehicle.
Yeah. And oftentimes people are very willing to help out. Oh,
Yeah,
sure, I'll
especially
do it. Yeah.
family. Yeah, and but that was interesting. So we have that on we have a picture of me and Carl at the Carl's my business partner and he's the director of the movie. We were at the cop car and somebody I guess snapped a shot of us like looking like going like that like in a pose while we're talking to him. And oh my God, I was like, "Oh my God, that was something else."
Uh,
That was pretty interesting. Also, so Carlisle Comic Con. I want to get into that. So
sure.
Carlisle Comic Con is in Carlisle, Pennsylvania. It is a comic convention, and you're going to be a guest there, and so will I. We'll both be there. It's our first Comic Con working together, which is really cool.
Mhm.
Not working together, but you know what I mean, like
We'll be in the
signing.
same building.
Same building and signing. Yep. It's really fun. So, how can fans come and see you? What are you going to be selling? I know you mentioned the Deadlands. So what will you
Oh,
be able to do? Like just promote it a little bit.
well, normally I will have a selection of 8 to 10 photos, color
Hmm.
photos from Dawn of the Dead. I usually have a few other items,
Hmm.
such as little knit helicopter zombie dolls made for me
Right.
by a woman in the UK.
Okay.
And oh, I have actually pieces of the Monroeville Mall in
Nice.
little keepsake treasure chests.
Nice.
I'm not sure when they'll come in, but I have a few other items. And if they're not in for that show, they'll be in later in the month for the Living Dead weekend
Nice.
in Monroeville at the Monroeville Mall the last weekend of October.
Nice.
Carlisle Comic Con is the 17th and 18th of October.
Hmm.
it's the afternoon of Friday afternoon and then all day Saturday in
Mm-hmm.
Carlisle. So um, I should have my t-shirts there.
Mm-hmm.
I have two sizes, large and extra large, if you're there fast enough, because those go. A lot of
Nice.
people get, let me just say this. Everything I have on my table, I try to have as a representation of quality, of something that, because if it's going to be part of me, represent me, I want it to be something that holds together,
Yeah.
that means something, that's
Mm-hmm.
got a good feel to it. So like the shirts are, they're an extra quality shirt, but I try
Yep.
to keep them at a manageable price. And uh, my autographs, I'm not working with an agent anymore, so I'd worked with at times over four different agents,
Mm-hmm.
and some things worked out, and over time, I just felt like I wanted to do other things on my
Mm-hmm.
own schedule,
Yeah.
and I've really enjoyed working a lot more on my own
I
schedule.
get that.
Some of them have been more George Romero specific conventions like Weekend of the Dead in the UK,
Yeah.
which we hope to get started 10 years ago. And this is the last year for it coming up in November.
Wow.
And I was invited again as a guest, but it's the week after Living Dead weekend in Monroeville. There's just too much stuff going on right now. I
Yeah.
just want to jump on a plane. But those where you have, for me particularly, where it's dedicated to the films of George Romero and people are huge fans of Dawn of the Dead,
Yeah.
those specific ones are always, to me, the busiest and most
Mm-hmm.
interesting because people always bring up sometimes obscure things or have
Mm-hmm.
questions about some of the other characters or actors.
Yeah.
In a general kind of convention like Carlisle Comic Con, I get to meet a lot of people, some of the other actors and other guests, which
Mm-hmm.
I just think is a hoot. It's
Yeah.
just great meeting some of the folks. They're
Yeah.
people from some of my other favorite movies.
Mm-hmm.
But the other neat thing is it kind of introduces Dawn of the Dead to other people and
Mm-hmm.
my character as the helicopter zombie from Dawn of the Dead
Yep.
to other people.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes people have no idea what Dawn of the Dead is.
Yeah.
And so we get to talking and they say, oh, now I get it. I know, but yeah, my dad, he was, yeah, or my boy, he
Mm-hmm.
really liked, and I tell somebody, well, my favorite film is, Creature from the Black Lagoon. The
Nice.
guy rolls up his sleeve. He's got all of these
Nice.
Creature from the Black Lagoon tattoos, and he shows me up here. And he said his dad worked with Raku Browning,
Mm-hmm.
who was played the creature in the Creature from the Black Lagoon, and it was always he was like a living memorial. I mean, I love this guy for
Mm-hmm.
what he did, for who he was, and the connection he had with one of my heroes.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, there may be 6 degrees of separation in some cases, but other times it's a lot closer than you might imagine.
Right. Yeah, it's gonna be great. It's gonna be a fun weekend. Yeah, I'm gonna be staying there. I believe the hotel I'm staying at is like literally like less than a half a mile away. Um,
Oh, okay.
yeah, it's I forget the name of it off the top of my head, but it's about half a mile away, maybe a little less than that. But it's right around. It's at the Carlisle Expo Center, is where the convention's at. So if you are in the area, pick up some tickets on their website. You can find their website. Just Google it, or it's on Facebook.
Yeah.
Um, very simple. Carlisle Comic Con in Carlisle, Pennsylvania. I'll be there. I'll be selling all 6 copies of my Tales of Halloween book. They're anthologies, so you can read them. You can, if you want the first book or you want the fifth book, you're not going to be confused on what happens because they're all different stories. Then I have 10 of each copy of those. I have a bunch of leftover copies that I had a while ago from of the Friday the 13th and Halloween trivia books I've written. My first and second book ever written ever. So I have a
Hmm.
bunch of those in stock that I'll be selling, and I also have my most recent book that came out last month, which is called Murder She Baked. I'm sorry, Murder She Baked. Wow, that's what I used as inspiration. It's called Bittersweet
I like it. It's a great
Mysteries.
title.
Yeah, Bittersweet Mysteries is called. Bittersweet Mysteries, Fudge, Lies, and Alibis. And it's a romance murder mystery novel based off of Murder She Baked. This kind of was used for inspiration. I wanted to write something that my mom would want to read because she's not a gory horror person.
Yeah.
So I wanted to write something that she would like. So doing a little romance, a little murder mystery, and it actually is a really, really good book. I'm very proud of it. Now that series is, I'm working on the second one, which is Truffles and Treachery. But those will have to be read in order. But right now I only have the first one released. That one I'll have 10 copies of that there if anybody wants to buy. But yeah, and then so come out, see me, see Jim. A lot of other people will be out there. Some wrestlers will be there. I believe Ricardo Rodriguez, Kevin Kelly will be there.
Julio will be there.
Yep,
Yeah,
exactly.
the green grumpy guy,
Yep.
or he might be Edward Scissorhands. You
There
never
you go.
know.
Who knows at this point? And it's gonna be
He
so
does wonderful,
exciting.
wonderful cosplay. He's great
Absolutely.
presentation, and he was a wrestler
Absolutely. And
also.
Jason Page will be there. If you're a Pokemon fan, he sang the Pokemon theme song, which I love that song. It's one of my favorite animes. I grew up
I
on
know
it.
last year too they had some interesting screen cars
Oh, nice.
from films, and you talk about the vendors. If you're into toys,
Yep.
if you're into all kinds of
Mhm.
crafts and clothing items,
Yeah.
there's just there's a little bit of everything. And sometimes
Yeah.
there's a lot of some things. Plus,
Absolutely.
there's also food. You can get food there. There's free
Yep.
parking. It's it's a really nice thing. And I sometimes talk to people and they say, "Well, I've never gone to any of those." And I said, "You should
You should.
make a point of when was the last time you gave yourself a treat."
Right.
What do you mean? I said, "Do something just for fun,
Right.
not
You can
something you've always done just because
absolutely.
you know how to do it. Go out and spread your wings a little bit.
Yep.
You might see something that, whoa, I remember seeing that film when I was a kid.
Absolutely.
And you were in it. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
You know, Return from the Planet of whatever. And you can see them lighting up. And
Yep.
to me, that's what these shows are all about.
Absolutely.
Helping to reinstill joy in people.
Absolutely. And if you, for example, if you wanna meet Jim Krut, but you're like, I don't want an 8x10 or a this or a that. Maybe you have a Dawn of the Dead poster and you still need Jim's, signature on that to complete
Yeah.
that piece. Like you could bring your own items as well to get
Yes.
signed, you know?
Yes.
Like you
Yes.
don't have to just get what's at the table. Like my purpose is I'm selling books. Like I'm an author, and I'm gonna have 8x10s there and I have my books there. I probably don't have, something that you're gonna be on, that you want me to sign, like, a Friday the 13th type of thing, because I'm not in a Friday the 13th. Except for a fan film that I did.
Mhm.
But I mean, with Jim Crud, he was in Dawn of the Dead. You can get him to sign something. Or with Ricardo Rodriguez, he's a wrestler. He's gonna be there. Maybe you wanted to meet a couple of wrestlers to fill out your WrestleMania 29 DVD. Well, he was part of WrestleMania 29. Have him sign that DVD. There's vendors there. Support the vendors.
Yes. Yes. I
Yeah.
mean, if you've ever seen people loading up and setting up for a show,
Yeah.
you realize that a lot of them have traveled a long distance,
Yep.
maybe slept very little or eaten erratically just
Yep.
to get to the show. And
Yep.
then they have to load everything in and set it up to make a nice display.
Yep.
And oftentimes people walk right down the middle of the aisle and don't see.
Yep.
I would suggest if you go to a show, look at everything that's there.
Yep.
You're going to find something that's going to delight you,
Yep.
surprise you, and you'll probably end up taking something home,
Yep.
more than just a sandwich from the snack
Absolutely.
bar there. But
Absolutely.
show appreciation for the people who are coming out and doing the show too.
Absolutely.
I think that's very important.
Yep. I took my
It's a very
fiance
family
to
friendly show as well, and
Yep.
I think you're going to have a great reception there, Scotty.
Absolutely. I took my fiance to Monster Mania. That was his very first convention, and he looked at me like he couldn't believe like people getting pictures with me and everything. And he's like, "Look at all these vendors. There's so many vendors here." I'm like, "Yeah, this is what they do. They make all this stuff and they sell it, and it's a lot of work, setting up and taking down and sitting there the whole time and trying to sell this stuff to make some income." And he
Hmm.
goes, "Let's buy you a shirt. Let's support one of them." I'm like, "Yeah,
Sure.
absolutely." So we looked at all the shirts and we found one. I found a shirt that I love, and I wear it all the time, and just supporting a vendor. The vendors do a lot of work, a lot more than you. They don't just sit there; like they do a lot of work. So definitely go out and support them. You don't have to
Yeah,
feel
thank you for
obligated to buy
thank you
anything,
for
but
amplifying that too, because
yeah,
you see it as well,
yeah,
and I appreciate your
yeah,
emphasizing that everybody's putting some work into
yeah,
showing up.
yeah. Absolutely. And I mean, I used to do the vendor thing, and then now I'm a guest, you know what I mean? It's amazing. And it's an amazing feeling because then I can now somebody else that really wanted to be on that list can now take that spot. You know what I mean? They can have that spot, make their money, show off their material. And
Yeah.
if you really like their stuff, maybe support them by sharing their social medias or sharing their websites because they don't just do it for conventions. This is their business. It's really, really important. Definitely go out there and support the vendors because they do a lot more work than just sit there and look pretty. And I mean, and I don't know if he'll be at Carlisle, but I'm gonna throw this man out there because he's one of my really good friends. Wood Burning by Donovan. Donovan, uh, he's such a great guy, and he does a lot of the conventions, Monster Manias. He does creature features, I believe. He does a lot of the local ones. I think he was just recently at the Tidewater convention and he literally spends I actually bought something off of him for one of my favorite video games hanging up on my wall up there. But he literally has blocks of wood and that he makes coasters, he makes wood planks, he puts clocks in them and he burns them and it's amazing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Amazing work. Amazing work by him. So definitely I don't know if he's at Carlisle. I want to talk to him about it. Tell him to give him a shout out as well. But definitely check out his stuff because he does really good work. Really, really good work.
I have to look for him there. Just
Yeah,
he's there. Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah.
If yeah, he does really good work. And I have to throw this question out there before we wrap up and start promoting any last things that we didn't mention. But you mentioned it briefly, and I know you mentioned it as a joke, but I have to mention it because I did, and I only thought of it because I saw your post from I think it was from a couple days ago, but I saw it today. So how do you properly grow tomatoes? So do you got any tips and insights?
Yeah. If you have some ground, get a pH test. Yeah, because soil can be acidic or
Yeah.
alkalinic. And if certain plants like acid, like blueberries and
Right.
tomatoes, they do well with that.
Yeah.
Other plants you put in that same type of soil
Hmm.
and they don't like it so well. My other suggestion is water from the ground.
Hmm.
Don't pour water on the top.
Okay.
Don't get the leaves wet. And don't pour up high if you're using a watering can or
Hmm.
something, because when you splash into the soil, you're going to draw up or splash up some of the microbes and perhaps some diseases.
Wow.
So that's another reason for cutting off some of the lower leaves of the plant and
Nice.
branches so that there's less chance of infection. There are a lot of germs and plant diseases in the soil, and it doesn't
Wow.
take much to suddenly your whole plant turns brown and falls over.
Right.
So you just have to learn about those. Also, the
Hmm.
types of insects. I was picking tomatoes the other day. I said, "Oh, here's a beautiful one. Oh, here's a beautiful one. There's a hole in this one. I wonder if that was a bug or a bird, pecked it with just like one
Hmm.
hole." And as I was looking at it, this yellow striped and black striped worm crawled
Oh my
out. I
goodness.
thought, "What are you doing in my tomato?" That went into compost, but I took a picture of it. So what I'll do then, I look up, I use Google Lens,
Hmm.
and I identify what that worm is, where it comes from. What kind of worm is it? Is it a tomato worm? I wasn't sure. But when I get time, I look that up and say, oh, okay, well, they like this or they like that, or it's opportunistic, whatever. You
What
got
kind of worm was it? I'm now curious.
look it up.
I'm gonna
I haven't
have
looked
to.
it up yet. I have it on
Oh,
my
didn't you?
phone. I have it on my phone. It's
You gotta let me know
in my
because I'm actually
gallery
curious
collection.
now.
I'll do. By the time we get together in Carlisle, I'll try to have an answer for you,
There
Scotty.
you go. Please do. I'm actually curious now because I saw your post. I don't know when you posted. It was a couple days ago. It wasn't today, I don't think, but I saw it today. And because it's weird how Facebook's algorithm is. I'm seeing things from like 7 days ago, like today, and it's like, and
Oh,
I'm seeing so many weird things. Like people are like, "Did you see my post?" I'm like, "No. If you didn't tag me, I'm probably not gonna see it because I literally have a new Facebook, and because the other one got suspended for whatever reason, and the algorithm, I have 200 friends and I'm missing like half the people. I'm seeing sponsored posts and posts from like 8 days ago. It's like what? But I seen your post about your banana peppers and all that, and I was like, oh,
oh, thank you,
it,
thank you.
it looks
They're
so
beautiful
good.
colors. They
Yeah.
just brighten up. Some people like to grow flowers exclusively,
Yeah.
but when you get peppers that are turning red and yellow and some purples in there,
Mm.
it's like a bouquet on a bush.
Right.
Oh, I grew this year some really small red peppers. My
Uh-huh.
wife would always like to get bags of them because she always liked them. I thought I'll try growing them. I thought that's going to look really pretty.
Hell
Except
yeah.
the whole bush, well, the pepper plant is maybe 2.5, 3 feet high,
Right.
and it's all green on the outside. All the
Yeah.
peppers are clustered on the inside. You can't see them from the outside. Everything just looks like a green thing with nothing growing. I had to
Nice.
to peppers. Uh,
Nice.
Gardening's a fun business. Not that it's
Absolutely. I always wanted to garden. I'm just not I just don't like the creepy crawlers, you know?
they got to eat too, but
That is true.
you got to know what eats them.
Yeah, that is true.
Like slugs go up in the middle of the night and get into your strawberries. So
Oof,
yeah, set
yeah.
out a little cap or a little container of beer.
Uh-huh.
You put that at the same level as the soil, and then
Okay.
they're drawn to that, and they go in and they fall over and die. They
Okay.
drown, and you can pick them off. I've had people say, "Ew, I didn't want to pick a slug off of a leaf," and then I saw somebody else just pick it up and squeeze it and throw it away, and I thought I could never do that. And that was the first week, and then the second week, I'm picking them up and I'm squeezing them and throwing them off, and get off my strawberries. They just wipe your hands and say, yeah, there's
Right.
a job well done.
My cat's over here dreaming. I don't know what he's dreaming of. Probably the
Mice.
slugs.
Cats
He's-
always dream of mice.
yeah,
They're
he's
natural
kicking his
predators.
foot. I was looking to make sure he's okay because he keeps kicking the remote because the remote's right by his foot and he keeps like kicking his foot out. But yeah, so last question. Anything else that you want to promote? Social media, websites. Of course, you're going to Carlisle. You can promote that again if you want. Any other conventions or anything else at all?
Well, aside from the Carlisle Comic Con, and I think we've covered that pretty well,
Yep.
coming up at the end of October, the last weekend, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, at the Monroeville Mall outside
Hmm.
of Pittsburgh. That's where Dawn of the Dead was filmed,
Yeah.
released in the US 1979.
Hmm.
Big sensation ever since. But they've got a couple of the stores in the mall which have been vacant. And they're going to be
Hmm.
filled with guests from Dawn of the Dead. They're also celebrating the anniversary of Land of the Dead.
Nice.
So you're going to have a lot of guests from there, like Eugene Clark. You're going to have people coming in from Return of the Living Dead,
Okay.
not specifically a Romero film, but written by John Russo, who did Night of the Living Dead.
Okay.
Like Miguel Nunez and other, I guess
Yeah.
Beverly Randolph and some other folks are coming in for that. So
Yeah.
it should be a good time. And
Absolutely.
again, when I go to a convention, I love to meet the people behind the tables,
Yeah.
especially if they're in some of my favorite films.
Yeah.
Either we've been friends for a while or
Yeah.
we are just meeting and then we become friends forever, after that day. It's magic. There's a lot of family good stuff there. I like conventions where there's room to move around, to talk.
Yeah.
You're not rushed. They're not, 40 people waiting, crushed up against you or something.
Right.
It's relaxed. It's family. You're enjoying yourself. And again, I tell people, give yourself a treat. Do
Yeah.
something for yourself.
Yeah.
Go to a convention, a
Yeah.
Comic Con, a horror convention, maybe even a paranormal convention.
Right.
You know, sprinkle stuff around you before you leave, but uh, you'll you'll see that there's a bigger world out there, and I
I
think that's
for
important for all of us.
my first convention was Monster Mania a couple of years ago. Not first convention, first convention that I knew was a convention. I went to the Creation Entertainment Once Upon a Time convention back in like 2016-ish, 2017-ish, whenever that was. What? No, 2018 it was. It was 2018. I went to it and it was my first convention. I didn't really know much about it. I mean, I bought like the most expensive gold package because it came with all the characters that I wanted, the cast members that I really loved.
Nice.
So I wanted to meet them. It was like a different type of thing than Monster Mania and all that. And then I eventually went to Monster Mania a couple years later. For the first time when I moved down to Baltimore, and oh my God, it changed my life. Like I met lifelong friends. I joined the monster, not the Monster Mania. I'm in that too, but I'm in the HorrorCon Lounge group, and I became friends with so many people in that group, and I'm like, oh my God, I would love to meet you someday. I would love to meet you. I'd love to meet you. I really want to hang out. And next thing you know, I'm hanging out with these great people, and we're drinking and laughing, and ordering pizza and going out to eat, and just having a great time together. And
Yeah.
it's so much fun getting to meet these real people that have the same similar things in common. You get to do all these fun activities with. And then not even just that, but like I have so many pieces now that I have signed, like that big Friday the 13th box set that, had all the Blu-rays from Scream Factory that came in that Jason Square. And I have that thing so filled up, and I want more people to sign it, and
Yeah.
it's just such, all these pieces that you get to meet, and all these people that have nice, these actors that you grew up watching. Like became really good friends with Bobby Heckman, who represented Kimberly Beck at one point, and he was at her table handling for her, and he told her that I wanted to meet her and all that, and he told her so much good things about me. And when I got there, she knew exactly who I was, and we talked and talked, and I met her on Friday, and then Sunday she didn't have a really big line, so I talked to her pretty much for 3 or 4 or 5 hours on Sunday, just talking to her at her table. And when somebody came up, I'd stand to the side, and she was such a good person. And she goes, Scotty, how about you, me, and Bobby here, let's reenact the Jarvis sandwich. So Kimberly's in the middle, and Bobby's on this side, and I'm on this side. We're all doing a big group hug, and we got a picture doing it. And oh my God, it was such a good memory. Like, you make so many
Yeah.
good memories meeting people you grew up
Yes.
watching.
Yes. Yes.
It's so much fun, and these people are so nice, and you get to talk to them. I mean, some of them, have longer lines, so you can't really talk as long. But then there's other ones that might not have as long of a line, or it might be the day might not be as busy as, say, the Saturday, because
Sure.
Fridays and Sundays are quieter, so you might get more time with them celebrities. And I talked to Alexandra Paul from Christine. I told her something she never heard before. Out of every time she met people, she never heard that the movie that they remember her the most by wasn't Christine. I remember her in the Lifetime movie, the boyfriend she met online. And
Sure.
she was like, "I never knew you would. Nobody told me that before." And she loved it. She loved it, and we talked about it. And she told me about how they did the cast when she got shot, and she told me about how great it was filming it, and just how the behind the scenes was, and it was just so much fun. And then she talked to me about Baywatch, and I told her I worked for the Coast Guard, and she told me about how at Baywatch they had like a Coast Guard dog that would be on the set or whatever, and like she
Oh,
just told
nice.
me it
Nice.
was so nice talking to her. It was like Friday night. I think everything wrapped up at 10. I got there at like 9:55, and we probably stayed till 10:30 talking. It was so much fun. So if you are having doubts to go to a convention, I don't want to spend the money. Start at a small convention like Carlisle, because the tickets to get in aren't as expensive. You can meet some amazing guests, amazing vendors, and you're not going to a Monster Mania where you're paying, $90 for the weekend, and then,
Yes. Yes.
where the guests are a little more expensive because it's a bigger convention. Like, go to a smaller one if you want to get your feet wet.
One of the other things we hadn't talked about, and
Yeah.
that's the cosplayers who
Yes.
appear at conventions.
Yep.
And these are folks, if you're not sure who cosplayers are, they're people who imitate, duplicate, replicate particular characters, either from films, anime, whatever. Some of them are just original creations, and you just have to sort of step back at times and admire the
Yep.
work, the ingenuity, and the passion that went in, because they're usually making their own costumes and
Yep.
props, and each one of those items is a matter of skill.
Yep.
Some of the conventions are going to be cosplay contests,
Yep.
and maybe the whole convention will sort of be emptied out, and you say, like, what happened? And then you hear all these yells,
Yep.
oh yeah, yeah, because everybody's at the costume
Yep.
contest, looking at
Yep.
all the costumes, make sure they didn't
Absolutely.
didn't miss any. And so you have that going on as well. Sometimes there are panel discussions.
Yep.
It might be about a particular film, it might be about a particular, you know, group of people from a film,
Right.
whatever it may be.
Yep.
So all sorts of things can be happening.
Yep.
Look it up online,
Yep.
check out the schedule, because if something is going on that you really want to see, it's not going to be going on all the time.
Yeah.
it might happen at, 11 in the morning, and if you get there at 3, well, I'm here to see. No, no, that was a couple hours ago.
Right.
So be prepared, be smart
Yeah.
about when you
And if
attend.
if you
Look
if
at
you
the
want to go to
schedule if there's a
Carlisle,
schedule posted so that you get there to do all the things you want to do.
absolutely. And if you want to go to Carlisle, right? And you're, say, a Pokemon fan, Jason Page is doing a concert live. I think it's on Friday night, but
Yeah,
check the
music,
schedule.
yes, yes.
Check the schedule. But he's doing a concert. And if you buy the ticket to the concert, I believe, now, like I said, check to verify. I'm not your verified source, but I'm from what I remember reading, it said that you also get a weekend pass to get into the convention.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and I think it's
Nice,
like maybe
nice.
65 bucks or something like that. But like I said, to go on and check, and it has it right there. It's right there. It says Jason Page concert, and I'm pretty sure it said comes with a free 2 day pass to the convention because it's 2 days the convention.
Yeah.
So definitely go. I'm gonna be staying there until Sunday, but I mean I'm only signing Friday and Saturday because that's the convention. But I'm gonna be leaving Sunday morning because I'm gonna be signing all day Saturday as well, and I'm gonna
Yeah.
be exhausted, and I'm not packing up and then going, driving an hour and a half back home.
Yes, you're one of those people I talked about who comes a long way, has to bring
Yep.
things in, set everything
Yep.
up, and then after all of that, talking to people for a
Yep.
period of time, it's both invigorating but sometimes tiring.
Yeah.
Uh, you just have so much energy because your body is moving. You are talking
Yeah,
pacing back and forth.
absolutely. And my agent might not be coming, but he has a representative from his company that works for him
Oh,
that's
excellent,
flying out,
excellent.
and
Sounds
he's
like
gonna.
you're in good
I'm
hands.
glad I have that to help me set up because it's gonna be a lot, and it's gonna be a lot. So, but definitely, come on out. It's gonna be so much fun. You get to meet us, and talk to us, and I can sign your book, get a picture with the book. It'll be great. It's just going to be so much fun that you can meet Jim. I mean, he has so many great stories. I remember the first time I met you was a creature feature, and we were friends way before that. But I met you at creature feature, and just meeting you and talking to you, and it was such a fun experience, getting to
I'm, a,
talk with you.
yeah, really, I'm a pretty fun guy.
Absolutely, you
Fun
really
guy,
are.
mushroom. Yes.
You really are. But it is great to meet everybody and to talk and to hang out. And like I said, if you're in any of the con groups, a couple of your friends might be showing up. Go meet them if you haven't met them and talk to them and say, "Hi, it's nice to meet you. I'm so and so in that group," and that's what I did at HorrorCon Lounge, and I met everybody, and now we're all friends, and we go out to eat, and we drink, tequila shots and all that fun stuff. Like it's fun. Like you get to meet people that have similar interests that are doing things. Now, Carlisle isn't necessarily a horror con, but that doesn't mean that there's not going to be horror people there.
Yeah.
There's a lot of
Yeah.
people there. Even the person that was with Michael Jackson, I believe her name is Ole. She's going to be there from Thriller, the Thriller music video.
Oh,
So, or yeah, I forget her name, but I'm pretty sure that was it. But yeah, she's gonna be there. So it's just gonna be so much fun. But thank you, Jim, for joining me this evening. It
thanks
was a
for
lot of
having me,
fun.
Scotty. I appreciate it. I appreciate your promotion of the show coming up
Absolutely.
in Carlisle, and I hope that this conversation stimulates some fans to
Yeah,
get out there and do it. Come and see us.
absolutely.
And
And
I hope that they will say, didn't I see you on Slasher Scotty's show on YouTube? Yes, you did. Yes,
absolutely.
you did. Let us know. Let us know where you found out. There you go.
Absolutely, definitely. And also like Jim said, if you see a cosplayer at a convention, go up, obviously ask to take a picture with them, just don't take a picture of them, but they work hard on their costumes, so give them the recognition they
Yeah.
deserve. Hey, can I you look really cool. Can I have a picture? Absolutely. Snap. But
You're going to
definitely do it.
find
But
that
be
those folks are
respectful.
very
Be
happy and
respectful.
flattered that you asked. Yes.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, thank you, Jim. Have a great rest of your night.
You too. Thanks so much,
Yep.
Scotty.
Absolutely. And see you next
See you in
month.
Carlisle.
Absolutely. Bye.
Bye now.